The experiment. They called themselves the Apex Mind, 12 of the most brilliant, deranged scientists the galaxy had ever produced. Genetically modified, post-sentient, and banned from a dozen systems, they operated in the shadows of the Orion abyss, beyond law, beyond conscience. Their goal was simple: to perfect a weapon so devastating it would not merely kill, it would erase cultures. They found their canvas in Virellia, a lush, emerald world home to a pacifist species known for their poetry, art, and songs that shaped crystal. The Virellians had no armies, no defense grids. They had peace. Perfect. In a sterile orbital lab, the Apex Mind constructed a virus with surgical cruelty. It infected the nervous system first, subtly, like a whisper in the bloodstream. Then it rewrote the brain, replaced compassion with instinct, language with shrieks, identity with hunger. The infected became vessels of rage. "Let them see what harmony brings," sneered Crixa, the lead biochemist, her eyes glowing behind a visor. "Let them see the beauty of entropy." The virus was named Velos 9. They released it through a meteor shower, elegant, untraceable. The first village fell within 2 days. By the end of the week, Virellian skies echoed with the howls of the changed. One scientist watched the growing data stream with cold satisfaction. Another paused, staring out the viewport at the planet below. "Do you think anyone will care?" he asked, a trace of doubt cracking his synthesized voice. "They'll care," Crixa said, "but only after it's too late." And so, Virellia burned in silence, while the galaxy turned away. Plague fall. Word count, 299. The Virellians first mistook it for a celestial gift. A meteor shower, rare and shimmering, danced across their skies like silver tears. Children sang beneath it. Artists painted it. Elders called it a blessing from the stars. But within days, the blessing curdled into horror. It began in the town of Ilari, where the flowers wilted before the people did. The first to fall was a teacher, trembling, sweating, speaking in slurred half-words before collapsing mid-lesson. Her skin flushed deep violet. Then came the convulsions. Then the silence. One by one, others followed. The infected screamed in pain for hours, then rose with empty eyes. They no longer spoke. They hunted. Fathers turned on daughters. Friends tore each other apart. Homes became tombs. Virellia had no soldiers, only healers. But the healers were the first to be devoured. Panic spread faster than the virus. Villages burned their own sick. Sacred temples were turned into barricaded shelters. The skies darkened with smoke and ash. High Chancellor Lura stood before the planetary assembly, her voice shaking. "We do not know what this is, but it is not natural. We call upon the stars, upon the Galactic Council, upon any who hear. Please. We are dying." Her message echoed into the void, unanswered. In orbit, the Apex Mind watched it unfold with cold fascination. "It adapts faster than we projected," one of them said, as another made notes. "The neural shift is accelerating." "And the Virellians?" asked Crixa, resisting. "But not for long." Crixa smiled, slow and cruel. "Then the test is a success." Virellia's last broadcast faded, replaced by static, and then by nothing at all. The plague had fallen, and no one came. Not yet. The Virellian Silence. The Galactic Council held its meeting in the golden halls of Triath. 9. Safe and serene, while Virellia bled unseen. Ambassadors debated trade tariffs. A mining dispute on Zothar Primus took priority. When the distress signals from Virellia finally breached the outer channels, they were filed under regional instability and sent to a subcommittee. A week later, the signals stopped altogether. Senator Vuthrix of the Leorian Combine stood before the chamber, voice low and tight. "We've lost contact with 6 settlements. There is no trade, no movement, no light. We must investigate." Councilor Glane of the Core Worlds responded with measured calm. "We mourn the Virellians, but intervention risks contagion. If this is biological, it may spread beyond containment. We must distance ourselves." A murmur of agreement swept the chamber. No one mentioned that Virelia, rich in healing crystals and untouched by war, had never needed galactic aid. Until now. And now, they were alone. The council voted. No action. Quarantine maintained. No ships in. No ships out. On Virelia, the last city burned. In the ruins, a lone Virellian named Miri crawled through the ash. Her fur was matted with blood, her eyes clouded with exhaustion. She clutched a broken transmitter, jury-rigged with scavenge parts. One final message. One final hope. Is anyone out there? She whispered, voice cracking. We are still here. Please help us. She pressed send. The signal, weak and flickering, broke through the black. Most systems ignored it. Corrupted data, they said. But not Earth. On a quiet monitoring station orbiting Europa, a young human technician stared at the screen, heart pounding. Sir, you need to see this. Because someone had heard the silence, and humanity would not turn away. Earth hears the call. Admiral Karina Sol stood at the edge of the briefing room, eyes fixed on the flickering hologram. A ghostly figure, furred, trembling, eyes wide with fear, looped over and over. Miri's message. Play it again, she said, her voice low. The tech obeyed. The room fell silent. The Virellians' plea echoed. We are still here. Please help us. Around the table, Earth's leaders sat grim-faced. Some were military, some scientific, some political. All bore the weight of knowing what this meant. It's likely a trap, said General Stone. A bioweapon test. We intervene, we expose ourselves. Dr. Arjun Kale, Earth's leading xenovirologist, shook his head. If it's what I think it is, it's already adapting. If we wait, it could jump species, jump worlds. We don't even know the cause, argued a diplomat. We only know everyone else ran. Admiral Sol turned toward the room, voice iron. Exactly. They ran. We don't. A quiet fell. Humanity knew plague. They had conquered the red rot of Mars, tamed the Europa spore bloom, survived Earth's own age of sickness. And through it all, they had one rule. No one gets left behind. Sol looked at her crew. We launch a response fleet. Medical, military, containment ready. We go in light, smart, and fast. And we don't go to die, we go to fight. Kale straightened. I'll lead the science team. I'll take command, Sol nodded. I want boots on Virelia within 72 hours. Back on Europa Station, the tech who found the signal watched the humans move like a rising tide. He whispered to himself, awestruck. They answered, far across the stars. Miri lay unconscious in the ruins, never knowing her call had changed everything. Touchdown, hope or doom. The dropship Resolute Dawn broke through Virelia's upper atmosphere like a falling spear. Inside, Admiral Sol gripped the armrest as turbulence rocked the cabin. The planet below, once lush and green, now smoldered beneath storm-gray skies. Pockets of fire flickered across the horizon. Entire forests had been leveled, cities swallowed by creeping black rot. Dr. Kale sat beside her, eyes scanning the live bioreadouts. Atmospheric data's unstable. Trace elements of synthetic RNA. It's mutating faster than projected. Any risk to us? She asked. For now, our immunosuits hold. But long-term, he met her gaze. This isn't a virus. It's a siege. The bay doors opened with a hiss, revealing the landing site. What had once been a Virellian refugee sanctuary. Now it lay in ruin, walls torn open, the symbol of peace scorched into the dirt. The squad moved fast, 6 medics for soldiers and 2 drones. But they were met not by monsters, but silence. And then movement. A trembling figure emerged from the rubble, barely standing. A Virellian child, fur patchy, eyes hollow. Kale rushed forward, kneeling. You're safe. We're here to help. The child looked up and screamed. From the shadows they came. Infected, twisted Virellian forms, faces locked in snarls, muscles swollen unnaturally, charged with a primal shriek. Contact left, barked Sol. Hold the line. Gunfire ripped through the smoke. A medic dragged the child to safety. Drones lit up the battlefield with auto turrets. 30 seconds of hell. Then silence again. The team stood panting, staring at the aftermath. Kale's voice trembled. They're still in there. Part of them. I saw it in their eyes. Sol looked toward the burning horizon. Then we find a way to bring them back. Anatomy of a nightmare. Inside the makeshift research bunker, the smell of disinfectant and burnt ozone clung to the walls. Dr. Kale stood over a restrained, infected corpse, its chest still twitching from neural spasms. This wasn't designed for one species, he muttered, running a scanner along its spine. It's mutating faster than we've ever seen. Admiral Sol looked on, arms crossed. Explain. Kale turned, holding up a holographic model of the virus. It writhed like a living thing, spindled arms twisting, replicating, adapting. It started with Virellian DNA, targeted their neurochemistry. But since we've landed, it's already integrated sequences reacting to us. Our immune systems slow it, but we won't be immune forever. So, it's learning. It's evolving, he corrected grimly. By the time it burns through Virelia, it'll be ready for something worse. Sol's jaw clenched. Earth. Meanwhile, deeper in the jungle ruins, Corporal Reyes and her recon team stumbled on an old Virellian temple, half swallowed by vines. Inside, they found a miracle of survivors. 20 of them, gaunt and wide-eyed, huddled in silence. One stepped forward, a young woman with a singed transmitter strapped to her chest. "Miri, you heard me," she whispered. Reyes nodded, lowering her weapon. "We came for you." Tears welled in Miri's eyes. Not relief, but grief. "Then you must leave. The ones who made this, they're still watching." Back in the bunker, Kale's scan finished. A symbol had emerged in the virus genetic code, a maker's mark burned into its sequence. Sol stared at it. "Apex Mind," she whispered. "They made this plague." Kale looked up, and they're not done. Outside, the sky turned red as another meteor shower began, more seeds falling. Not a weapon. A warning. The resistance awakens. The bunker's lights flickered as tremors rocked the earth. Another impact. Another viral seed cracking open in the distance. "We're out of time," Admiral Sol said, voice sharp. "If those pods keep landing, we lose containment." Dr. Kale didn't look up from the microscope. "We've stabilized a partial antidote. It slows neural degradation and early-stage infection, but it's not a cure." "How long?" Sol asked. "Days. Maybe less." Across the camp, Miri knelt beside a wounded Virellian, whispering ancient verses as she cleaned his wounds. She moved with quiet grace, her face set with grief and determination. She had buried friends, family, her entire city. Now she led the last survivors. At sunset, she stood before the human team. Behind her were 24 ragged Virellians, once scholars and artists, now carrying scavenged weapons with trembling hands. "We cannot run," Miri said. "This is our world. If we fall here, we fall as ourselves." Reyes stepped forward, tossing a spare pulse rifle to the nearest Virellian. "Then let's fall together." But we're not planning to lose. They set up defenses around the old temple. Solar turrets, motion sensors, plasma mines. The medics converted the inner sanctum into a mobile lab. Sol sent out a wideband signal. Resistance established. Medical aid available. All survivors welcome. Within hours, stragglers came crawling from the wilds. Virellians, traitors, even a few alien smugglers. Fear etched their faces, but the sight of humans standing firm sparked something long buried. Hope. Night fell, and the jungle trembled with howls. Inside the temple walls, humanity and Virellians stood side by side, weapons raised, hearts pounding. It wasn't just a defense anymore. It was a stand. The breakthrough. Dr. Kale hadn't slept in 30 hours. His hands trembled over the workstation, eyes bloodshot, mind razor-focused. Rows of viral samples pulsed in containment chambers like cursed stars, each one a whisper of death. Then, something different. Sample 47B, taken from a human Virellian hybrid tissue grown in the lab, didn't degrade. It fought back. Kale leaned closer. No way. The virus attacked the sample, but instead of spreading, it folded in on itself. Muted. Suppressed. "Run that again," he barked. The AI confirmed it. The key lay in human mitochondrial DNA, specifically a protein sequence unique to Earth's evolutionary path. It stabilized the Virellian neural pathways, halting the degeneration. Not a cure, but a firewall. Admiral Sol arrived moments later. Kale's voice cracked with exhaustion and awe. We have something. We can slow it, stop the transformations. But it has to be everywhere, fast. How, she asked. Reyes stepped forward, wiping grime from her face. Old Virellian cloud towers. Weather control stations. We hijack the system, load the cure into the upper atmosphere. Let the wind carry it. Sol nodded. Then we go airborne. Get your team ready. Outside, Miri listened. You'll poison the sky? We'll heal it, Kale said softly. She turned to her people, hesitant but hopeful. Then we must protect the towers. With our lives, if needed. Within hours, humans and Virellians mobilized. Soldiers packed the cure into atmospheric canisters. Engineers rigged launch arrays. The jungle echoed with purpose. They had no idea if it would work, but they would try. Because for the first time since the plague began, they weren't surviving. They were fighting back. Towerfall. The old Virellian sky tower rose like a broken spine above the canopy, its once glimmering spires now scarred by fire and decay. A storm churned above, thick with ash, lightning crawling like veins across the clouds. Admiral Sol's voice crackled through the comms. Team Alpha, status? Halfway up, Reyes panted, scaling a rusted scaffold. Heavy resistance. Infected are swarming the base. Below, the jungle burned. Dozens of twisted forms clawed at the barricades. Virellian defenders, side by side with human marines, fought tooth and claw. Miri moved through the chaos, blade in hand, her eyes aflame with purpose. Inside the tower, Kale and his team pushed toward the control core. One wrong move, and centuries of weather tech would shatter. But it was their only shot to deploy the cure globally. We're in, Kale gasped, fingers flying across ancient interfaces. Uploading now. A shudder rippled through the structure. A blast rocked the eastern wall. Infected had breached. One leapt at Kale, and Miri struck it down in a blur. You're not dying today, she said, blood on her face. Outside, the canisters fired. Streaks of silver and blue arced into the storm. The wind caught them. Clouds shimmered, the skies pulsing with a soft violet light as the viral suppressant dispersed into the atmosphere. Silence fell. The infected hesitated. Some growled and fled. Others collapsed, twitching. And in a few, just a few, something flickered behind dead eyes. Memory. Pain. Awareness. It's working, Kale whispered. But celebration came too soon. Above them, a ship tore through the clouds, sleek, black, unnatural. The apex mind had arrived. Sol looked up, jaw tightening. They're here to finish what they started. And now, humanity had one last battle to fight. Not for survival, but for the soul of an entire world. The last stand. The apex mind ship loomed above the tower, an obsidian dagger blotting out the sun. Tendrils of plasma lit the sky as it deployed drones, sleek, silent, merciless. Admiral Sol stood atop the tower, wind tearing at her coat, eyes locked on the enemy above. They're not here to negotiate. No, Kale said, gripping a pulse rifle with shaking hands. They're here to erase the evidence. Us. On the ground, Miri rallied her people. Hold the line. For our world. For the ones we lost. The final battle ignited in fire and fury. Drones rained death from the sky. Human marines and Virellian warriors fought side by side, a living wall of defiance. Reyes led a charge through falling debris, planting EMP spikes to fry the incoming machines. Her armor burned, but she didn't stop. Inside the tower, Kale initiated the full atmospheric override. I can flood the whole biosphere with the suppressant, buy us time, maybe even reverse early-stage infections permanently. But I have to stay connected. Sol looked at him, 1,000 words unspoken. Then we hold this tower. To the last. The apex mind's voice crackled through the comms. Calm, synthetic, inhuman. You stand in the way of evolution. No, Sol said. We define it. A final wave struck. Miri was wounded. Reyes dragged her to cover, shielding her with her own body. Drones pierced the clouds. And then, the ship above cracked with light. A Virellian rebel cruiser, long hidden, had joined the fight. One last spar from a people who refused to die. The apex ship fell in flames. Silence followed. Around them, the infected began to blink, weep, remember. Virellia breathed again. Humanity had not come to conquer. They came to heal, and in doing so became something more.